Do I think there's been a nice update when it comes to Jasmy lately? Well, I like to lean towards yes in a hypothetical scenario, even though nothing I say is financial advice and even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. Did you know that Jiangshin not too long ago announced how they had launched this program for research institutions and startups, and apparently it had an aspect of things being GPU sponsored, in which case GPU stands for graphic processing unit. But even besides that, people like to say, well, who cares about Jiangshin? Well, keep in mind, Jiangshin is an incubation project under Jasmy. It has an aspect of a layer 2, and also on top of that, it's really focused on AI. Now let's take this into consideration. Jiangshin does have its own token, but if I take a look at it, I think indirectly, if let's say that does pretty good, like let's say in the case of Jiangshin, I think it only makes sense that it might trickle down somewhat to the case of Jasmy. Keep in mind, as of right now, we're seeing stocks in regard to companies out there that are really focused on AI. We've seen what they're doing. Within this space, as of right now, it's kind of not really doing the same. But what happens if, let's say, there is that market sentiment again when it comes to AI, especially when it comes to the space? That's the way to take a look at it. So, I mean, it's impossible for me to know for sure what could exactly happen to Jiangshin or to Jasmy. But at the same time, if I take a look at what's going on when it comes to stocks and just the sentiment when it comes to AI overall, and I see within this space that AI hasn't really been doing much as of late when it comes to the space in terms of the sentiment. I mean, if it's already happening in other places, what happens if it occurs here in terms of the sentiment? That's the way I view it. Now, keep in mind, this space previously, before the market had a pullback, AI did have a lot of attention. But then, as of right now, we're not really seeing it. But what happens again if that sentiment were to return, or maybe hypothetically it becomes better? Who knows? This is why I think this is a pretty cool step in the right direction, because Jasmy, it's really focused on data storage, which is cool. I do like that. But I think Jiangshin was a smart addition at the end of the day because it just kind of made Jasmy, I think, somewhat a little bit more relevant when it comes to this space overall. Not that it really needed it too much because it's already pretty popular. It's already a top 150 project, even as of right now, by the way, in terms of market cap within the space. But I'm just saying, I think that right there is just a very smart move. But let's also take a look at Jasmy in the past 24 hours. Recovery has been almost 3%, so nothing really that significant. But at the same time, take a look at, for instance, when it comes to other projects within this space, the recovery has also not been the best as of late. Now, there are some random examples of a microcap or something like that that does a pretty impressive thing, but you know, I'm not into microcaps anyway, so that's besides the point. For me, I don't need that to be happy. But also, if I take a look at it, when it comes to Jasmy, as of right now, because it's still hypothetically down around 60% in the past 365 days, basically in the past year, I just really don't mind it in terms of dollar cost averaging because to me, like the core principle of me trying to do that is not when things are like all the way up here. I would preferably like it if it's lower in terms of dollar cost averaging, in which case, even despite this almost 3% recovery in the past 24 hours, Jasmy is still down by quite a lot. So when I take a look at that right there, I just don't see a reason why I would complain. Again, my intent is to dollar cost average, so why would I be upset at this current situation? But yeah, besides that point though, when I take a look at it as well, you have to kind of consider, right? When it comes to Jiangshin again, launching that program for research institutions and startups, of course, there was an aspect of AI development, model training, interface testing, and also new product development. So if I take a look at that right there, I think that is really cool and really interesting. And let's also take into consideration, people like to tell me that sometimes, oh, Jasmy's not doing anything, or they say, take a look at the CEO of Jasmy, they don't really care, but it seems like they're at least caring, I guess, somewhat when it comes to Jasmy, because I do still see updates. Again, that was in regard to Jiangshin, but again, if we consider how it's a layer 2, basically, and it's an incubation project under Jasmy, I think it kind of is relevant at the end of the day. Now, also, if I take a look at it, people often like to tell me that, wow, things are so boring within this space. Take a look at what SanDisk is doing. You know, that did very well. Take a look at this random stock that did this or did that. And they often say that, oh, this space is kind of, again, lagging behind. But I'm not concerned by that because I don't mind waiting. Personally, for me, even if I have to wait for years, it is what it is. I mean, I already know that by me entering into this space, I might hypothetically have to wait for quite a while anyways. So I didn't mind waiting to begin with. So what, I'm going to complain about waiting right now, even though I already knew that I might have to wait for quite a while anyways? Yeah, again, I'm not going to complain about a situation in which I maybe thought I'd have to do anyways. But besides that, Jasmy, as of right now, being at a market cap of around almost 270 million, I would say, at that point, we're talking about going back to July 2025, we're over 3 times lower than that. In which case, just going back to like a level in which wasn't even an altcoin season level anyways, it already seems pretty impressive as of right now when it comes to Jasmy, just because it had that pretty massive pullback. At least this is just my personal perspective when it comes to this. If for whatever hypothetical reason Jasmy went back to like almost $1 billion in terms of market cap, which again we almost saw basically in July of 2025. Again, as of right now, we're over 3 times lower than that. Like if a stock did that, a lot of people would already be posting about it, thinking it's the greatest thing of all time. But the thing is, Jasmy going back to that wasn't even like considered the best of the best time. It wasn't. Like even if we take a look at it during the cycle, that was not the peak when it comes to Jasmy. Jasmy, keep in mind, in December of 2024 reached over 2 billion in terms of market cap, slightly. So even $1 billion is not like the best it's ever done during this cycle. So again, to me, as of right now, I have zero complaints when it comes to just waiting. Now, I get it though, waiting for quite a while and then seeing, stocks do that and the S&P 500 do this or whatever, right? The S&P 500 has actually reached a new all-time high recently. But at the same time, I'm not concerned about that. All I know is that I'm going to be waiting and that's it. Because when I want to focus on projects, I try to focus it on the long term. Sure, these other places could do this or do that, but I want to focus on the projects that I want to focus on. Because if I see, oh wow, this is doing so well, I try to believe in that and whatnot. Sometimes it might not be so good for me, in my opinion. I don't want to chase market trends. I don't want to chase something. I want to hypothetically be there before that kind of stuff happens, instead of me chasing it and then I tend to lose focus. Yeah, I don't want to do that, but that is just personally my perspective. But I'm just going to be waiting, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. However, I do want to say thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope you all have a very nice day. And I'll be making more updates moving forward when it comes to Jasmy, so hopefully you all stay tuned for that. It's Willie the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.